My husband hid a credit card from me. I never thought I'd be that wife who writes one of those long posts about her husband hiding something, but here I am staring at my laptop at 2 a.m. because I can't sleep and my brain won't shut up. It started with a stupid envelope. That's it. One single piece of mail that changed how I look at my husband, my marriage, and honestly myself. For context, I'm 32F and my husband, let's call him Mark, 35M, and I have been married for 6 years, together for almost 9. We're not rich, but we've always been comfortable. We split bills in a way that felt fair. He takes care of the mortgage, I handle utilities, groceries, and household expenses. We have a joint savings account for vacations and emergencies, and up until now, I thought we had total financial transparency. I grew up in a house where money was a constant battlefield. My parents screamed about bills, debt, and late payments. I promised myself I would never live in a relationship where money was used as a weapon. Mark knew this from day one. We made a pact. No secrets when it came to finances. Every account, every card, every bill out in the open. At least that's what I thought. So back to the envelope. It was a Tuesday evening. I got home from work before Mark, checked the mail like I always do, and there it was, a thick white envelope from Chase Bank addressed to him. No big deal at first, but when I picked it up, I noticed something strange. The corner of the envelope had credit card statement printed on it. Now here's the thing. To my knowledge, we have 2 credit cards. One joint, one for emergencies, and another one in my name that we both use for day-to-day stuff because it gives great cash back. Mark has never once mentioned having a separate card. My stomach tightened. I don't know why. Maybe because the envelope felt heavier than it should. Maybe because something in my gut whispered, this is wrong. I told myself I wouldn't snoop. I put it on the counter. I poured myself some water. I tried to distract myself by scrolling through Instagram, but my eyes kept flicking back to that envelope like it was a ticking bomb. And then I did it. I tore it open. Inside was a statement for a Chase Sapphire preferred card in Mark's name. Balance, $7,482.13. I felt my throat close up. Almost $7,500. On a card I didn't even know existed. The charges blurred together at first: Amazon, Best Buy, DoorDash, some bar downtown, Uber rides. But then one jumped out at me like it was in bold letters. The Westfield Hotel, $632.44. My hands went cold. A hotel? Why would my husband have a hotel charge when we live 20 minutes from downtown? I sat down, the statement shaking in my hands. I felt like I had just opened Pandora's box and couldn't shove the lid back on. By the time Mark came home that night, I had hidden the statement under a pile of magazines. I couldn't confront him, not yet. My brain was spinning too fast. Instead, I smiled, asked him how work was, and watched him like a hawk. He was normal. Too normal. He kissed me on the cheek, complained about traffic, and went to change out of his work clothes. I wanted to scream, how can you act so normal when there's a $7,000 secret hiding in our house? But I stayed quiet. That night, lying next to him in bed, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying little red flags I had ignored over the past year. Like the time $200 disappeared from our joint account, and he swore he'd use it for car repairs. But when I asked which mechanic, he got weirdly defensive. Or how he sometimes came home late and claimed he had to work overtime, but his job isn't really the kind of job where overtime happens. Or how he suddenly got cagey when I asked if he wanted to book our summer vacation yet. Let's hold off, he said. Finances are tight, and me being me, I believed him. I didn't push. Now, I felt like an idiot. The next morning, I debated everything. Do I confront him right away? Do I give him the benefit of the doubt? Maybe the hotel was for a work thing. Maybe the balance was just him forgetting to tell me about a new card. But then, why hide it? Why let it rack up to almost $8,000? I wanted to storm into the kitchen, slap the statement on the table, and demand answers, but something in me hesitated. See, I know my husband. When cornered, he gets defensive. If I go at him without proof, he'll twist it, turn it back on me, or gaslight me into thinking I'm overreacting. I've seen him do it in smaller arguments. Not maliciously, but enough to make me doubt myself. So I decided to wait, to dig, to see what else I could find. That day at work, I couldn't focus. I spent my lunch break Googling spouse hidden credit card, what to do. Like some paranoid detective. Reddit threads, financial blogs, relationship advice columns, they all said the same thing. Hiding money is a red flag. Not always cheating, but always lying. By the time I drove home, I had made up my mind. I wasn't going to confront him until I had more information. That night, when Mark fell asleep, I crept out of bed and grabbed his wallet from the dresser. My heart was hammering so hard I was sure it would wake him up. And there it was. The blue Chase Sapphire card, tucked neatly behind his debit card. My breath caught. Proof. I slipped it back, crawled into bed, and stared at the ceiling until dawn. In the morning, Mark kissed me goodbye like everything was fine. And I smiled back, but inside a war had started. Do I love my husband? Yes. Do I trust him? I thought I did. But trust isn't just about whether he's cheating or not. It's about whether he's honest with me. And right now, all I could see were lies. So here I am, writing this out, trying to make sense of it. I don't know if the hotel was an affair. I don't know if the debt is from gambling or shopping or helping someone else. But I do know this. My marriage isn't what I thought it was. And tomorrow, I'm going to start digging deeper. because I need the truth. After finding the card tucked neatly in his wallet, I couldn't unsee it. It was like a neon sign flashing in my head. Secret, secret, secret. Every time Mark smiled at me, every time he kissed me goodbye, every time he sat on the couch scrolling through his phone, I felt like I was living next to a stranger. And so I did what any sane woman with a pit of dread in her stomach would do. I turned into a detective. Not the glamorous kind you see on TV. More like the paranoid wife hunched over her laptop at 3 a.m. with puffy eyes and a box of stale crackers. Kind. The first thing I did was start checking the mail religiously. Normally, Mark is the one who grabs it after work, but suddenly I was racing home to beat him to the mailbox. Every day, my heart pounded as I shuffled through envelopes, searching for anything from Chase. Most days, it was just junk mail, utility bills, the occasional coupon packet. But about a week later, jackpot. Another Chase envelope. I tore it open in my car like some kind of addict who couldn't wait until she got home. And there it was, the next statement. This one made my stomach churn. There were charges at a steakhouse we've never been to. Not once, but twice in the same week. Over $250 each time. There were charges from Best Buy, $1,200 in one swoop. Another at a jewelry store I didn't recognize. And then another hotel, different from the first. I just sat there gripping the steering wheel, staring at the paper. My mind started firing off like a machine gun. Who was he eating with? Who was he buying jewelry for? Why hotels? Why Best Buy? Was there another woman? A gambling problem? Drugs? Or was he secretly living a double life I knew nothing about? By the time I pulled into our driveway, my hands were shaking so badly I dropped my keys twice. Mark greeted me at the door, all casual and sweet, asking how my day was. I wanted to shove the statement in his face and scream, "Who is she?" But instead I smiled weakly and muttered something about being tired. Inside though, I was cracking. That night, I couldn't hold it in anymore. Not to him, but to someone. So I did what desperate people do. I opened Reddit. I made a throwaway account and went straight to Arsh relationship advice. My post was long, probably too long, but I didn't care. I typed furiously, pouring out everything, how I'd found the hidden card, the hotel charge, the jewelry, the Best Buy splurge. I asked strangers on the internet if I was crazy, if this was cheating, if maybe there was some logical explanation I wasn't seeing. And then I sat there, hitting refresh like a maniac. The replies came fast. Some were blunt. He's cheating. Hotels, jewelry, fancy dinners, open your eyes. Others were more cautious. Don't jump to conclusions. Could be helping family, could be something else. Gather proof before you confront. A few shared their own horror stories of secret debts, hidden addictions, or spouses leading double lives. I read every single one like my life depended on it. Each story, each warning, each piece of advice chipped away at the little bit of denial I had left. One comment stuck with me. It said, "Whatever the truth is, the problem isn't just the spending, it's the secrecy. Hiding money is financial infidelity. Don't ignore it." That phrase, financial infidelity, lodged in my chest like a shard of glass. Because even if he wasn't sleeping with someone else, wasn't gambling, wasn't doing drugs, he was still betraying me. The next morning, I decided to go deeper. I pulled up our joint bank account online and started combing through every transaction for the past 6 months. That's when I noticed weird little things I had brushed off before. Cash withdrawals at odd times, gas stations in areas he never had a reason to be in, Uber rides when he claimed he was at the office. The pattern was there, I just hadn't wanted to see it. I started keeping a secret folder on my laptop labeled tax stuff because, God forbid, Mark snoops on my computer. Inside, I saved screenshots of everything. The statements, the transactions, even a few photos I sneakily snapped of the card itself. But with every discovery, my anxiety skyrocketed. I couldn't eat without feeling nauseous. I couldn't sleep without nightmares of him in a hotel room with someone else. I found myself watching him constantly, analyzing every word, every movement. Did he seem distant? Was he texting someone when he smiled at his phone? Did he look guilty? Or was it all in my head? I swear I was driving myself insane. One Saturday afternoon, while Mark was out running errands, I decided to check his desk in the home office. He's not the type to keep a diary, but he does keep receipts sometimes. I don't know what I expected to find, but I rifled through every drawer like a woman possessed. And I found something, a small black box shoved in the back of the bottom drawer. My heart raced as I pulled it out, half expecting it to contain a ring for some other woman. But when I opened it, it was an expensive looking pair of wireless headphones. Price tag still inside. $349. Not jewelry. Not an engagement ring for someone else, just headphones. Relief and anger mixed in a confusing mess. Relief that it wasn't proof of an affair. Anger because, seriously, he bought himself $350 headphones while telling me finances are tight. That night, I stared at him across the dinner table while he happily shoveled pasta into his mouth, completely oblivious that I had found his little treasure stash. And I realized something. I couldn't keep spiraling in silence. I wasn't ready to confront him yet, not until I had more. But I needed a plan, so I made one. Step 1, beat him to the mail every single day. No more surprise statements slipping past me. Step 2, track every transaction I could find online. Screenshot everything. Step 3, watch his behavior. Late nights? Excuses? Where does he actually go? Step 4, When I had enough evidence, sit him down and demand answers. No room for gaslighting, no room for him to wriggle out of it. I don't know if I'm ready for what I'll find. Honestly, I'm terrified, but I can't live like this, half in the dark, half drowning in suspicion. I need the truth, even if it breaks me. And tomorrow, the real investigation begins. I've been sitting on this for weeks now. Weeks of sneaking through mail, tracking charges, screenshotting bank activity, and storing it all in a hidden folder like I'm some undercover FBI agent instead of just a wife who thought her marriage was built on honesty. And let me tell you, living like that eats at you. It's like trying to smile while a storm is ripping through your chest. On the outside, I cooked dinner, laughed at Mark's dumb jokes, and asked about his day. On the inside, I was screaming, "Tell me the truth, you liar." But the human body can only hold that much tension before it snaps. My snap happened on a Thursday night. Mark had come home late again, muttering something about traffic and a last-minute meeting. He smelled faintly of whiskey. Not enough to be drunk, but enough that I knew he hadn't just been working late. I watched him drop his keys on the counter, loosen his tie, and act like nothing was out of the ordinary. Meanwhile, I had that week's Chase statement tucked in my purse, burning a hole through the lining. Dinner was awkward. I pushed spaghetti around my plate, barely eating. He asked if I was okay. I lied and said I was tired. But after we cleared the dishes, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I went to my purse, pulled out the statement, and slapped it down on the table so hard the salt shaker rattled. "What the hell is this, Mark?" I asked. He blinked, looked down at the envelope, then back up at me. His face paled, then flushed red in the span of 2 seconds. "Where did you get that?" he asked, his voice tight. "The mailbox," I snapped, "where it's been coming every month. Do you want to explain why you have a secret credit card with almost $9,000 on it?" He opened his mouth, closed it, rubbed his face, then let out a frustrated sigh. "It's not a big deal," he said finally. "It's just a card I keep for emergencies." I laughed. A bitter, humorless laugh that echoed in the kitchen. Emergencies? So what? Steak dinners, jewelry stores, hotel rooms? Those are your emergencies. Mark, his jaw tightened. "You went through my statements?" I slammed my hand on the table. "Don't you dare turn this around on me. You've been lying to me for months, maybe years. I had to find out by accident because you weren't man enough to be honest." He stood up, pacing, running his hands through his hair. "Look, I didn't tell you because I knew you'd react like this. You get controlling about money." My chest burned. "Controlling? Mark, we made a promise, no financial secrets. Do you have any idea how humiliating it feels to realize my husband's been hiding thousands of dollars in debt while telling me we can't afford a vacation?" "It's not like that," he said quickly. "I paid for some stuff for my brother. He's been struggling and I didn't want to drag you into it. That's why the hotel charge is there. He needed a place to stay for a few nights." My heart lurched. His brother. It was plausible. His brother has had money problems before, but something in Mark's eyes, the way he avoided mine, the way his hands fidgeted, told me he wasn't giving me the whole truth. "So, the jewelry store? The steakhouse? Best Buy?" I pressed. He bristled. "I work hard, okay? Sometimes I want to treat myself. Is that a crime?" I didn't want to hear you nagging me about every little expense, so I kept it separate. "It's not like I'm cheating on you." The word cheating hung in the air like a grenade. I stared at him, my vision blurring with angry tears. "It's not just about cheating, Mark. It's about lying. It's about trust. You've been lying to me every single day you swiped that card." His voice rose. "I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you. There's a difference." "That was it," I snapped. "Not telling me is lying," I shouted. "Do you have any idea how stupid I feel? I've been budgeting groceries while you're out blowing hundreds of dollars on God knows what. I thought we were in this together, and clearly, I'm the only one who believed that." He glared at me, breathing hard. "You're overreacting. This isn't the end of the world." But to me, it felt like it was. The argument spiraled. For an hour, accusations, denials, raised voices. I cried. He cursed. At one point, I slammed the bedroom door just to stop myself from throwing something at him. When the dust finally settled, we sat on opposite sides of the bed in icy silence. He muttered that he was sorry if I felt betrayed. Not that he betrayed me. If I felt betrayed? Classic non-apology. I barely slept that night. My mind kept circling the same thought. Maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe it's just his brother. Maybe it's just stupid spending. But then, why hide it? Why let it snowball into thousands of dollars? The next day, while he was at work, I checked the online account again, and there it was, clear as day. The jewelry purchase? A gold bracelet. Shipped to an address that wasn't ours. My stomach dropped to the floor. I copied the shipping info into Google Maps. It wasn't his brother's apartment. It wasn't anywhere I recognized. Just a random residential address across town. I sat there, staring at the screen, my heart pounding, tears streaming down my face. He had looked me in the eye the night before and sworn it wasn't a big deal. That it was just his brother. That it was just indulgences. But the shipping address told me otherwise. And in that moment, something inside me broke. Because even if it wasn't another woman, even if it wasn't cheating, even if it was some bizarre favor for someone else, it was still a lie. A massive, deliberate, carefully constructed lie. And I couldn't unknow it. That night, when he came home, I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't even confront him again. I just looked at him, really looked at him, and realized I didn't recognize the man standing in front of me anymore. I smiled, nodded at his small talk, and played along like everything was fine. But inside, the foundation of my marriage had crumbled. And I knew, without a doubt, that nothing would ever be the same again. After the confrontation, yeah, the screaming, crying, him brushing everything off like it was just emergencies, I thought maybe that was it. That maybe after all the tension and the late night fight that left me curled up on the couch while he sulked in the bedroom, things couldn't get worse. I was wrong. So wrong. At first, I tried to convince myself that I was overreacting. People have secrets sometimes, right? Maybe I was being dramatic. Maybe it really was just emergencies. But then, late at night, when I was scrolling through Reddit on my phone, because apparently venting to strangers online is my only therapy right now, I kept thinking about the way he looked at me when he said, "You don't need to know everything, okay? Excuse me? I'm his wife." I thought marriage meant partnership, transparency, and trust. That sentence just kept echoing in my head. So I did what any suspicious, sleep-deprived woman with access to the internet and a whole lot of resentment would do. I dug deeper. The next morning, while he was showering, I opened up the drawer where he keeps all the mail. Normally, I don't snoop. I honestly hate that feeling, but at this point, I felt like the only idiot in the world for not noticing sooner. And sure enough, there it was. Not one, not two, but a stack of unopened envelopes, credit card statements, bank notices, late payment reminders. My hands were literally shaking as I opened one. Balance, $12,478. Another one. Balance, $8,690. Another, $3,210. It went on and on. By the time I had gone through the pile, my stomach was churning. In total, I was staring at almost $30,000 in debt across multiple accounts I didn't even know existed. And every single one of them was in his name, under addresses linked to ours. I felt sick. I mean, $30,000? Where the hell was all of that going? I checked the itemized statements. That's when I saw it. Not just restaurants or random Amazon charges. There were withdrawals of $500 here, $700 there. Large chunks of money just gone. ATM cash withdrawals at weird time of the day. And then I noticed some transfers. The name wasn't clear, just ACH transfer. But the same account number kept popping up. At first, I thought maybe it was gambling or some kind of addiction. My brain was spiraling through every worst case scenario. Drugs, affairs, some secret double life. But then after cross-checking a couple of account numbers, thank you, Google, I realized something. The money was being funneled to his brother. Now, before I go too far, let me explain something. His brother, let's call him Ryan, has always been kind of the problem child in the family. He's had a history of bad jobs, bad breakups, and bad financial decisions. Every Thanksgiving, there was some whispered conversation about Ryan getting back on his feet or needing another loan. But I didn't realize my husband was the one bankrolling him without telling me. For years, I sat there on the kitchen floor surrounded by opened envelopes, my heart pounding like it was going to break my ribs. And honestly, the betrayal hit me harder than the money itself, because it wasn't just about dollars, it was about trust, about being lied to straight to my face when I asked him about that credit card, about how many times I asked if we were okay financially and he said, yeah, of course. Meanwhile, he was secretly bleeding us dry to cover his brother's screw-ups. When he came out of the shower, towel around his waist, and saw the mess of envelopes on the floor, his face went pale. "Why are you going through my stuff?" he demanded. I lost it. "Your stuff? This is our life, our finances, our marriage, and you've been lying to me for years. Do you even realize how much debt you're hiding? $30,000. And for what? To cover your brother's mistakes." He froze, his lips pressed into a thin line, and for a moment, I thought maybe he'd come clean. But instead he snapped, "It's not your problem. Ryan needed help, and I was the only one there for him. I didn't want to drag you into it. Not my problem. Not my problem." I swear I almost blacked out from rage. I can't even describe how betrayed I felt in that moment. I thought back to every time I stressed about bills, every time I said no to a little treat for myself because we needed to save, every time he brushed me off when I asked why money felt tighter than it should. And all along, he was secretly playing hero to his brother while letting me carry the stress of thinking we were just bad at budgeting. Later, I called my best friend and told her everything. She was furious on my behalf. Her exact words were, "Girl, that's financial infidelity. He lied, hid debt, and endangered your future. If this isn't a marriage-ending betrayal, I don't know what is." But then I called my mom, and of course, she had the opposite take. "Well, maybe he felt embarrassed," she said softly. "Maybe he didn't want to worry you. Don't throw away your marriage over money. Work it out." And then my sister chimed in, "Run, seriously. This is a huge red flag. If he can lie about money for years, what else can he lie about?" So yeah, conflicting advice all around. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just lay there next to him, staring at the ceiling, wondering who the hell I was even married to anymore. Because here's the thing, it's not just about the debt. It's about the fact that he chose to protect his brother over being honest with me. That he let me live in ignorance while making huge financial decisions that affect both of us. That he didn't trust me enough or respect me enough to be his partner in this. And the scariest part, the more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't just about Ryan. If he could lie about this for years, what else was he hiding? So here I am, Reddit, sitting on a mountain of debt I didn't know existed, with a husband who thinks it's not my problem, and a marriage that feels like it's crumbling under the weight of secrets. And the worst part? Deep down, I know this goes so much deeper than just one credit card. I can feel it. This isn't the end of the lies, it's just the beginning. Alright, Reddit, I think I finally hit the point where I don't even recognize my own marriage anymore. When I first found that secret credit card bill, I thought the worst part was the shock. Then I discovered the mountain of debt. Then I found out my husband was funneling money to his brother behind my back. Each layer peeled back more lies, more secrets, more betrayal. But this past week, this was the breaking point. The fights became constant. We weren't just arguing about money anymore. It was about everything. Who forgot to buy milk? Why the trash wasn't taken out? Why I didn't text him back fast enough? Why he didn't come home when he said he would? It was like all of the cracks in our marriage that we'd ignored over the years suddenly widened into canyons. Every conversation turned into a battle. And when we weren't fighting, there was silence, icy, suffocating silence. We'd go hours, sometimes days, without speaking unless it was something practical like the mail's on the counter. And the worst part? I stopped missing his voice. One night, after another blowout fight about the credit card debt, I just broke down. I remember yelling, my voice cracking, "Do you even hear yourself? Do you realize you've been lying to me for years? That you've endangered both of us financially without even giving me the chance to be part of the decision? You keep saying you didn't want to drag me into it, but that's our marriage. That's what it means to be a partner." And that's when he said something that made my blood run cold. Maybe I didn't want a partner. Maybe I just wanted to feel like a man again. I froze. What the hell is it supposed to mean? I asked, my voice shaking. He rubbed his face, let out this long, tired sigh, and finally admitted it. "I hid the card because I was sick of you controlling everything. The budget, the savings, the bills, you make the decisions. You treat me like I'm irresponsible. I wanted to feel like I had some freedom, like I wasn't just living under your rules." I can't even explain the cocktail of emotions that hit me in that moment. Anger, hurt, confusion, but also a little guilt. Because yeah, I am the one who usually manages the finances. But it wasn't about control, it was about necessity. I'm better at it, and he's always been careless with money. It wasn't about making him feel small, it was about making sure we were stable. And yet, here he was, confessing that this wasn't just about money, it was about power, about him resenting me for being the one who kept us afloat. I just sat there, staring at him, wondering how the hell we got here. That night, I couldn't sleep. My brain was running in circles. Was I too controlling? Was I too harsh? Or was this just him twisting the narrative to justify lying? Because here's the thing. I never told him he couldn't be part of the financial decisions. I begged him to. I asked him to help me with the budget, to sit down with me and go over bills. He was always too tired or too busy or not good with numbers. So now, suddenly, I'm the bad guy for stepping up when he wouldn't. The next day, I vented online again. Some people were like, "He's emotionally manipulating you. He's trying to flip the blame." Others said, "Well, maybe he has a point. Men can feel emasculated if they don't feel like providers. Maybe you unintentionally made him feel small." And honestly, both sides hurt because maybe both were true. Our house doesn't feel like a home anymore. It feels like a war zone. We eat dinner in silence. We sleep back to back. When I leave for work in the morning, he doesn't even look up from his phone to say goodbye. I started fantasizing about leaving, not because I wanted to, but because it felt easier than staying in this limbo of resentment and lies. I pictured myself packing a bag, driving to my sister's place, and finally having peace. But then I think about our history, the years we spent building this life, the trips, the memories, the inside jokes, and I'd wonder if I was really ready to throw all of that away. Last night, though, something inside me snapped. We were sitting at the table and I brought up the debt again because, hello, $30,000 doesn't just vanish by ignoring it. I said, "We need a plan. We can't keep pretending this isn't happening." He sighed and muttered, "Why do you always have to control everything?" That was it. I looked him dead in the eyes and said, "Control? This isn't about control. This is about survival. You've lied to me, betrayed me, and endangered both of us. And you think the problem is that I won't just sit back and let you dig us deeper? No, no more. I'm done playing along." He stared at me, shocked, because I don't think he'd ever seen me that calm while being that firm. Then I said the words that changed everything. "From now on, I'm separating our finances. I'll take care of my money, you take care of yours. You made your mess, you clean it up. I'm not carrying this for you anymore." The silence after that was deafening. For a second, I thought he was going to explode again, but he just sat there, his face pale, his mouth opening and closing like he couldn't find the words. And maybe he couldn't, because for the first time in this whole nightmare, I wasn't begging or crying or yelling, I was drawing a line in the sand. So here I am, Reddit. My marriage feels like it's hanging by a thread. We're not divorced yet, but I've finally taken back my power. I opened my own bank account this morning. I had my paycheck redirected. I'm setting up my own savings. For the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe. Do I still love him? Yes. Do I still want this to work? A part of me does. But love isn't enough if there's no trust, no respect, no honesty. And right now, I don't know if we have any of those left. What I do know is this. I'm not going to let him drag me down with his lies anymore. If he wants to rebuild this marriage, it starts with him fixing himself and his debt without me being the safety net. Because I'm done being lied to, I'm done being blamed, and I'm done being powerless. If you followed along from the very beginning, from the moment I stumbled across that credit card bill with my husband's name on it, to the unraveling of years of secrets, to the fights that turned my home into a war zone, you probably already know this hasn't been an easy ride. And now I finally have an ending. Not the fairy tale ending I once imagined when I said I do, but an ending nonetheless. One that gave me closure, one that gave me peace. After I separated our finances, everything changed. It was like I flipped a switch in myself. For months, maybe even years, I had been clinging to the idea that if I just worked harder, if I just loved him enough, if I just forgave enough, things would eventually settle down. But the truth was, I was carrying both of us, emotionally, financially, spiritually. And the more I carried, the more he leaned on my strength while secretly resenting me for it. The night I told him I was done being his safety net was the night I felt something inside me shift. I stopped being afraid of what he might do next, and I started thinking about what I needed. And it turns out what I needed was freedom. The days that followed were weird. He didn't scream, didn't beg, didn't even fight me when I told him I was opening my own bank account. He just sort of shut down. I could see it in his eyes, a mixture of guilt, shame, and this weird pride he couldn't let go of. Like, he wanted to say sorry, but couldn't get the words past his ego. We tiptoed around each other like awkward roommates. Meals were eaten in silence. I started sleeping in the guest room. He spent more time out of the house, claiming he was working late, though I didn't care enough to check anymore. And here's the thing, the silence didn't hurt anymore. It felt like relief. My turning point came one Saturday morning. I woke up early, made myself coffee, and sat out on the porch watching the sunrise. For the first time in ages, I wasn't anxious about what excuse he was going to give me or what new secret I might discover. I was just breathing, and it hit me. I could do this alone. I didn't need him. The person I thought I married, the partner, the confidant, the man who was supposed to share my burdens didn't exist anymore. Maybe he never did. What I had was someone who lied to me, hid debt, funneled money to his brother behind my back, and then had the audacity to say I controlled everything. No, I wasn't going to waste another decade of my life waiting for him to decide to be honest. So I told him. That night, I sat him down at the kitchen table, the same table where we'd fought so many times, and I said calmly, I can't do this anymore. I deserve honesty. I deserve respect. And you've shown me over and over again that you're not willing to give me that. So I'm leaving. For the first time in months, he actually looked scared. He said, wait, you can't just give up. We can fix this. Counseling, whatever you want. I'll try harder. But here's the thing, he only said it because I was already walking out the door. He had chance after chance after chance to choose honesty, to choose me. And he never did. So I shook my head and said, it's too late. And then I walked away. The aftermath was messy, as endings always are. I stayed with my sister for a few weeks while I sorted things out. I met with a lawyer, set up my accounts, and started the process of untangling my finances from his. And for the first time in years, I felt like I had control. Not the kind of control he accused me of having, not domination, not power over another person, but control over my own life. I didn't have to check statements wondering what mystery charges might pop up. I didn't have to worry if my husband was lying about where our money was going. I didn't have to carry the crushing weight of someone else's secrets anymore. I was free. Here's the thing I've realized through all of this. It was never just about the money. Yes, the hidden credit card and the $30,000 of debt were huge betrayals. But what hurt the most was what those things represented. A lack of trust, a lack of respect, a lack of partnership. Marriage isn't supposed to be one person carrying the other while being lied to the entire way. It's supposed to be two people walking side by side, even when the road is hard. And when that's gone, when the foundation cracks that deeply, no amount of love can patch it up. So here I am now. I'm divorced. The paperwork just finalized last week. I'm sitting in my own little apartment, sipping coffee, typing this all out to strangers on the internet who've been with me through every step of this nightmare. And you know what? I'm happy. Not the loud, ecstatic kind of happy. The quiet kind. The peaceful kind. The kind where I can look in the mirror and know I'm not lying to myself anymore. Do I still hurt? Of course. Betrayal doesn't vanish overnight. But I'm learning that healing doesn't mean pretending it never happened. It means accepting it, learning from it, and choosing better for myself next time. So if anyone reading this takes anything from my story, let it be this. Financial infidelity is real. It's not just about numbers on a bank statement. It's about secrecy, manipulation, and the slow erosion of trust. Don't ignore the red flags. Don't let someone convince you that you're overreacting when your gut tells you something is off. And most importantly, don't ever let someone make you feel guilty for demanding honesty in a relationship, because love without trust isn't love at all. And that's the end of my story. Reddit. I started this journey confused and hurt, clutching a random bill I wasn't supposed to find. I ended standing on my own 2 feet, free of lies, and finally at peace. Thanks for listening. All right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the story. We have so many more amazing stories coming your way, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Our goal is to reach 100K subscribers by the end of this year, and we'd love for you to be part of this journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.